Shalom, everyone who is tuning into this live stream. I hope you're all having a great Friday. And today we're going to talk about natural remedies, remedies that the Most High has made naturally that the mainstream or the status quo has made you ignorant of so that you can be a long term customer for their pharmaceuticals and other drugs. And before we start, I'm going to make a disclaimer. I am not a medical doctor nor a doctor, or nor am I prescribing or giving any medical advice. There you go for the disclaimer so I don't get flagged or copyrighted or whatever. And shalom, Sister Cynthia Yah. And yeah, so today I'm just going to talk about natural remedies because God made medicine through plants and herbs and the things we eat. For most people, um, that's not common knowledge. A lot of us may be struggling with a lot of ailments because a lot of things in our food is poisoning us, or the environment is full of toxins and pollutants that are giving us um, different diseases or different conditions that could be mitigated through the things we eat and different supplements and herbs. So let's start. I made a PowerPoint that we could follow along, and also I have different videos of how these herbs and spices could be used and what they do specifically for what conditions you may be facing. All right, let me actually put that in slideshow. Natural wellness and awareness. And I have a couple of scriptures letting you know that God made natural remedies through natural remedies through the food we eat and through herbs and through that was our natural medicine. The first scripture, the Lord hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. Basically, if you want to become well or take your health into your own hands, so to speak, you will know and become knowledgeable of these natural remedies in the food that you eat or consume. And the next scripture is Ezekiel 47:12. And on the banks on both sides of the river there will grow all kinds of trees for food. Their leaves will not wither, nor their fruit fail, but they will bear fresh fruit every month, because the water for them flows from the sanctuary. Their fruit will be for food, and their leaves for a healing. I mean, this is specifically about the millennium kingdom, but God has already put all the fruits and herbs and natural remedies on this earth. Although they may have been contaminated by um, huge corporations and big pharma, there's still ways you could use these natural remedies or grow them yourself to help with your ailments. And the third scripture is Genesis 1:29. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat, basically for food. That's what that scripture is stating. So let's get into it. There are natural remedies, things that you could do, things that you could consume daily and put in your diet that can help you with a myriad of different conditions or ailments. And the first one is turmeric. I use turmeric for inflammation, basically pain throughout the body. First started using turmeric when I started developing randomly. I had a lot of joint pain a couple of years ago, and I started using turmeric to counteract that joint pain. Could you basically for arthritis? It could also be used for diabetes and gastrointestinal problems and heart disease and psoriasis. Also, I think this was all stress related because at the time, this was during the scamdemic, I started having a lot of different joint pain, and I had like a psoriasis outbreak, and I started using turmeric and ginger for both those problems, and then it started to subside. And let me get into, list a couple of benefits for each thing I have listed here. Turmeric contains several bioactive compounds which have several potential benefits, such as improving gut health and the immune system. And the main ingredient that helps give turmeric all of its benefits is curcumin. It's a bioactive substance that can help fight inflammation. Turmeric can also increase antioxidants. Basically, antioxidants help your body with free radical damage, basically, oxidative stress. Oxidative stress, you could basically visualize it as or illustrate it as your cells being rusted away from different things that damage your cells, whether it could be pollutants in the air or toxins in the food. Turmeric can help, um, counteract that. It also could help with metabolic syndrome. Turmeric may improve insulin sensitivity and help regulate blood sugar, which is beneficial for managing type 2 diabetes. And when you use turmeric, you want to use it with black pepper. Like I put turmeric in my eggs and then I put black pepper in it because black pepper contains a property called biperane that can help with the absorption of curcumin. And you could use it as a spice or in pill form for as a supplement, and it has a broad spectrum of antimicrobial activity against various bacteria, various various fungi. All right, and the next natural remedy is ginger. Ginger can be used for digestive issues, nausea, pain, and metabolic health. I was using ginger when I had stomach problems. I had all types of, digestive issues when I was going through a lot of stress. I'd say about like 2018 was when I started having stomach problems. And then I started, fasting, and I used ginger. Ginger contains antioxidants, anti inflammatories, and germ busting antimicrobial agents, basically things having to do with their gut microbe. you know that's basically the balance of bacteria and fungus in your um in your stomach. And once there's an imbalance of gut flora, whether it be fungus or bacteria, then you start to have different issues like diarrhea and constipation. So, ginger can help with that. Ginger can also help with easing nausea and vomiting, relieving pain, lowering blood sugar. Ginger can also help with GERD, basically gastroesophageal reflux disease. and you could use ginger in a tea, or you could just use it as the in the herb form. It could also help with arthritis, inflammation, and it could also help with high blood pressure and high blood sugar. And the basically the compound or the property that's found in ginger that gives it all its benefits is called gingerol. Again, all these the links to all this information are in the description of um, this video. The next thing I will talk about is garlic. You could use garlic for high blood pressure. The compound that gives garlic its health benefits is allicin, which provides potent anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and antimicrobial properties. It can also help with cardiovascular health. Garlic reduces blood pressure in hypertensive patients, with some studies suggesting effectiveness comparable to standard medications. It improves cholesterol levels and reduces arterial stiffness. Cinnamon for blood sugar and anti inflammatory problems. Cinnamon is a spice that is made from the inner bark of trees, scientifically known as cinnamomum. There are two main types of cinnamon: Ceylon, which is true cinnamon, and cassia, that's the cinnamon that you basically find in like baked goods. And cinnamon is loaded with powerful antioxidants, including polyphenols. It could aid with digestion, and it has antimicrobial effects. It acts as a prebiotic, a pre yeah, a prebiotic to help good gut bacteria and can aid in reducing bloating and gas. It also has strong antibacterial properties. It can also help reduce inflammation. The next remedy or natural herb is cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper contains capsaicin. It gives cayenne pepper their signature spicy flavor. It is linked to some health benefits when it's consumed. It could consume it in a supplement form, or you could use it as spice in your food. It can help with your metabolism and weight loss. It supports heart health. It improves circulation, reduces blood pressure, and lowers cholesterol, reducing the risk of heart disease. It's high in nutrients and high in vitamin A, vitamin C, potassium, and antioxidants. And the last one is apple cider vinegar. You could use apple cider vinegar to help satiate your hunger while doing intermittent fasting. It contains acetic acid and polyphenols, which may offer antimicrobial benefits and support heart health. Studies suggest apple cider vinegar improves insulin sensitivity and reduces blood sugar spikes. And it also helps with digestion support and could also help with low stomach acid and reducing bloating. I basically use I what am I saying? I use the apple cider vinegar. I used to drink. I put it in water after every meal. Also, while fasting, it helped with digestion. Helped with my digestion, and it also helped with basically giving me energy. It also has um, properties that helps give you energy while you're fasting. So you may want to look into that. And I have basically videos explaining what I spoke about in better detail. Dr. Berg, you should check out his channel. I highly advise it. He knows a lot about nutrition and using food for natural remedies.
there's a very important benefit of apple cider vinegar that I've never even talked about in any of my videos on apple cider vinegar, and I probably have hundreds of them. And I think most people know that apple cider vinegar is good for digestion. It helps with bloating, indigestion, acid reflux. Apple cider vinegar also is good for your blood sugar. It helps make insulin more sensitive. We have less of a fatty liver and less inflammation. I think a lot of people know about those things, and I've talked about those benefits extensively until very recently. Is another huge, major benefit of apple cider vinegar. And to explain the benefit, I just need to explain something about good bacteria and bad bacteria. Both groups of microbes can go into a dormant state. They can go to sleep. I want to show you something in this book right here, which is kind of like a mini summarization of a textbook on microbes. I want to read something to you. This is mind-blowing. Certain bacteria were able to switch from an active growing phase to dormancy. This is a survival mechanism triggered mainly by starvation signals. Of course, if you're going to starve them off, they're going to die, right? The last resort response to starvation that a cell undergoes once all other stress coping mechanisms have failed. The purpose is to generate a metabolic inactive cell that will maintain the genetic information under various environmental stresses, including ultraviolet radiation and certain enzymes and certain chemicals. When that microbe is in a dormant state, it's protected, especially against antibiotics. Thanks to its architecture, a dormant microbe can survive decades to thousands of years. What? The things that revive a good bacteria versus a bad bacteria or a bad pathogen are not the same. What will wake up the good bacteria that are sleeping? There's several things, but the thing that I want to talk about is the change of environment. Just by changing the pH, you can either wake up a good bacteria or put them to sleep. Most of the good bacteria thrive in an acid environment. And this acid protects them because a lot of pathogens cannot live in that acidic environment, but the good guys can. And so when you're taking apple cider vinegar, you're acidifying the environment. Now, you can also do this with kombucha tea, pickle juice, sauerkraut, kimchi, things like that. A lot of health problems occur because the bacteria now can penetrate through this immune wall, go into your bloodstream, and create a systemic infection and create all sorts of issues. There's two main entry points these microbes kind of get into your blood. One is through the colon, and the other is through your gums. In fact, there's certain reports that when they look at plaquing in the arteries, they're finding bacteria from your mouth. A lot of skin problems is coming from this bacteria that should be in the gut, but it's called translocated. It moves in a different part of your body. There's another type of microbe that creates butyrate, which is kind of a byproduct that helps insulin resistance. Those microbes love an acidic environment. And just by keeping that pH in the acidic range, you can greatly increase the numbers of those bacteria. It's all about the terrain, the environment. I mean, think about with you. Don't you thrive in a nice environment? We have a mutual arrangement with microbes, right? We provide a home for them to live, and they give us immune protection. They make vitamins. They help us digest. If you're not going to provide a good home for them, they're going to go to sleep and wait for you to clean up your act. By dropping the pH, making it more acidic, you germinate that microbe. That means activate it. You also have other microbes like friendly yeast that live more in an acidic environment. I mean, let's talk about some other microbes. H. pylori. H. pylori has a strategy of releasing something that's super alkaline. It's called ammonia. And then it can kind of really do its damage. And it's behind ulcers in the stomach and the small intestine. You have other microbes called C. diff, E. coli, salmonella that could be put to sleep once you reduce the pH below 6. You have the small intestine, and then you have the large intestine, right? The large intestine is where the majority of microbes are. That's where you should be having most of your lactobacillus or lactic acid bacteria. You shouldn't have the majority of microbes in the small intestine. In fact, certain parts of the small intestine on the top part of it should not be as acid. They should be more alkaline. If you have these pathogens like E. coli in the small intestine, where it's not as acid, they start acting up and creating problems. When you drop the pH of certain parts of your digestive system, you can help put these pathogens to sleep, and you can wake up the good guys. When you start to wake up some of these good bacteria, they start to release their own sort of antibiotic that also suppresses the bad bacteria. Now let's shift gears to the bad bacteria, the pathogens. How do you wake those guys up? The main way is not necessarily just to increase the pH and make the body more alkaline. The main way is to suppress the immune system, the natural thing that should keep the bad guys in check. Antibiotics also work because it lowers the defense system of the immune system, and then they start to wake up. Stress suppresses the immune system. Prednisone also wakes up pathogens. And the reason it's doing that is because it's lowering our immune system. When we get older, stressed out, they can start to thrive. But the big thing that can activate these microbes is vitamin D deficiency. So vitamin D deficiency creates such a weakness that the pathogens can come out of hibernation and do destruction. Even when I was in practice, I noticed that when people got these serious infections, whether it's a cold sore on the mouth or genital herpes, stress was a big trigger. It's lowering the immune system. But vitamin D is such an important factor, not small amounts. I'm talking about at least 10,000, but probably 20 or 30,000 or more of vitamin D3 to help keep these microbes in remission, because now your immune system is strong and it can keep those guys in check. I hope you now know the importance of apple cider vinegar and other natural acidifiers that can help change the environment of your gut. So what I would recommend is taking 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in a little water in the evening every single day. You drink it with a straw, and you can add lemon in it if you want, or just do apple cider vinegar. The type of apple cider vinegar I like is Fairchild's apple cider vinegar. That's the one that I use. I hope this information helped you. And if you haven't seen this video on apple cider vinegar, you should check it out. It got millions of views.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand, especially when he was talking about um those the bacteria being in your small intestine, because your small intestine basically, and I had to basically research this all on my own because I was neurotic and I was trying to figure out how to, get better soon, because I wasn't trying to rely on any medication or anything like that, or antibiotics. So basically, your small intestine is where most of your food is supposed to be digested, and your large intestine is basically where a lot of the waste should go. Once there's an imbalance in that, you get something called small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, and that when you have microbes, too many microbes in your small intestine, basically you get bloating, and you get constipation or diarrhea. It depends on what microbes are in there. So I started using apple cider vinegar, and it started helping me digest my food and all this other stuff, and now I use it. I don't use the Fairchild brand. I'd use the Bragg's one, even though they kind of altered it. And what's his name? Gates. He's, I think, bought stock in it. So you could just use your own discretion as to which brand you want to use. And of course, you want to use the one that's unpasteurized.
Pretty similar. Now, what you could do if someone were to truly objectively evaluate turmeric, okay, I don't think there's one condition, one health problem that you couldn't find some benefit from taking this right here. It's amazing. I've been growing turmeric for the last 9 months, and I finally harvested it, and my wife and I are eating it. We're just chewing it. It's like an aromatic carrot. It's not very strong, but boy, does this have some serious potent properties. But first, let me talk about how to increase the bioavailability of turmeric. Now, anytime you take turmeric in a supplement, I highly recommend you don't take it in the curcumin extract only. You want the whole plant, because curcumin is only one of many, and I'm talking about thousands of different phytonutrients in turmeric. So if you get something that says curcumin extract, also make sure it comes with the turmeric powder. Or you could just, like I said before, chew the whole thing. Number 2, black pepper or white pepper will help you increase the absorption by roughly 2,000%. The white pepper actually increases the absorption a little bit better, but they're both pretty similar. Now, what you could do if you're going to take a supplement or just consume this, you can just take a black peppercorn or a white peppercorn and just swallow it. That will help. And thirdly, add some fat at the same time you're consuming it. The question is why? Because a lot of these phytonutrients, including curcumin, are fat soluble. So in order to better absorb them, you need some fat. You can do ghee, you can do butter, MCT oil, coconut oil, olive oil, any of the fats, just a little bit. Now, the other thing to know is that these phytonutrients are a bit heat sensitive. So if you're going to put them in your foods, chances are they're not going to be as potent. The other point is if you get a supplement with turmeric or the curcumin extract, make sure you get the one that's freeze-dried, because freeze-dried allows for these enzymes to be activated. So they're in a state that's dormant, but they're not overly processed or heated. So let's just do a deep dive into what this stuff actually can do for your body. Out of all the plants, I would imagine that turmeric is right at the very top as far as the number of studies that were done on this. I'm talking about double-blinded, placebo-controlled studies on all sorts of things. The 2 big areas of research for turmeric are, number 1, inflammation, and number 2, cancer. And the amazing thing about turmeric is that it has virtually no side effects. There's been no deaths, no serious side effects, maybe some slight digestive problems if you have too much. But even at high doses, there's no major serious side effects like there are with medications. And they've compared a lot of different medications to turmeric, and turmeric keeps up with these medication effects. Okay, so let's start with antioxidant potential. It increases glutathione. It increases other antioxidant networks in your body by actually increasing your ability to activate these antioxidants. There are certain genes that turn on or turn off your antioxidants. And turmeric has the ability to turn them on to help fight off free radical damage that's involved with oxidation and inflammation. Turmeric also has potent effects for your brain and nervous system. It's been tested to show significant improvements in Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, other neurodegenerative disorders. It's also been shown to decrease the formation of plaquing in the brain. It has very potent cardiovascular effects in helping lowering blood pressure, decreasing lipids, helps slowing down the formation of plaquing in arterial sclerosis and clogged arteries. It also protects that inner lining of your arteries, the endothelial layer that is usually most vulnerable to inflammation. Now, from a microbe standpoint, turmeric is a powerful antimicrobial, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-candida, antifungal, antiparasitic, anti-H. pylori. So it's great to take if someone had an infection. It shows great benefits to dermatitis and many other skin problems, psoriasis. It's great for the liver too, to protect the liver against fat formation, fibrosis, which someone develops after they have inflammation in the liver. Because turmeric has very potent anti-inflammatory properties, it's going to slow down fibrosis. Certain things in turmeric also increase bile salts, and that gives you a whole cascade of improving digestion, increasing the fat-soluble vitamins. Turmeric helps support the gut mucosal lining, and that's really important to prevent autoimmune diseases, allergies, and immune deficiencies. Curcumin in turmeric directly targets the DNA to help protect the DNA against free radical damage, to help in the improvement and repair of DNA. It also helps the cells that are damaged commit suicide, and that's a good thing. It's called apoptosis, which is controlled cell death if there's a problem in the cell, which that right there can help lessen the risk for cancer. Curcumin also protects the cell if someone is taking chemo or radiation therapy, as well as increasing the effectiveness of that treatment. Turmeric also helps the endocrine system in many different ways. One big way is to make insulin more sensitive. So if someone has insulin resistance, as a pre-diabetic or a diabetic, it helps insulin become more sensitive. There's been quite a few studies, and I'm talking about like clinical trials that are double-blinded, placebo-controlled studies showing protection against a pre-diabetic going into a diabetic. Also, at the same time, diabetics taking this greatly reduce the complications from diabetes. So even though they have diabetes, they have a lot less side effects. Also, turmeric shows great therapeutic benefits in being an adaptogen, which is something to help you increase your tolerance against stress. This has also been used to help depression, anxiety. So it can help both mood disorders as well as cognitive disorders. But like I said before, cancer and inflammation are the two primary things that turmeric is known for. There's a lot of research in many different types of cancers, not only directly targeting the cancer, but inhibiting a lot of the mechanisms that are involved with cancer, including inhibiting angiogenesis, which is feeding blood flow to the cancer, countering some of the mechanisms that cancer and tumor cells use to suppress your own immune system. So it actually helps your cells prevent the cancer cell from surviving. And also in one study, they found curcumin inside a colon cancer cell, which means that somehow it ended up there, which is a good thing because now that can create some really cool effects. There's many different pathways involved with inflammation. And so curcumin seems to inhibit most of those pathways, which gives a very broad spectrum approach for inflammation. I'll include one study that shows all the different medications that work for inflammation and then how curcumin mimics a lot of these medications. And so curcumin is not actually a root, it's a rhizosome, which is kind of like the stem of a plant that lives underneath the soil to help protect it. And like I said before, it's not bad, but if you're not growing it, just go to the grocery store, go ahead and buy some organic and just eat 2 or 3 of these per day to prevent a lot of problems.
All right, yeah, I never eaten turmeric like that, like a carrot, but maybe I should try it. Kind of looks like ginger. And yeah, I was taking turmeric for overall any inflammation I would feel when I felt sore from coming back from the gym or when I basically had this random psoriasis and eczema outbreak. I used to use the powder and put it in like a ginger tea and then put black pepper in it, and then like my pain and my itchiness would go down. So definitely try turmeric. It's better than taking ibuprofen and all the other over the counters like Tylenol and basically what you call it NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory um, medication, because long-term effects and long-term use of those things cause effects on your liver and things like that that you don't want, and also alters your digestion and gives you stomach problems if you use things like Advil over a long time, same thing. All right. Next thing he's gonna talk about is ginger.
Hey guys, I wanted to create a short video on this amazing root called ginger. Now ginger is mainly for any type of GI stress. If you're nauseated, you have vomiting, you have inflamed colon, this is what you need to consume. You can take it in pill form. I like to do it fresh, but anything to do with the digestive disruption, this will actually fix it pretty fast, actually. So a couple ways I take it. I put this on my salad a lot, and you just take off the outer coating and I shave it into my salad. So I might shave like about this much off into my salad. And I'll also sometimes shave like beet and this, and it tastes really good. Also, I add it to water. You can actually put this in your water with lemon and drink it. It makes a nice little spicy drink. I like to put the carbonated Pellegrino with it, and it's kind of like my little root beer. I might put a little drop of stevia in there, or you can just add it to vegetables in general. So go ahead and try this and give me your comments below. I'll see you in the next video. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please click the share button below and I will see you in the next video.
Again, yeah, I would use ginger for my stomach problems when I was having it, and it definitely does soothe your stomach. Um, you could basically use it as a tea. I've always used it as a ginger tea, and also I used to put apple cider vinegar in it as well. It's an acquired taste, but after you drink it a couple times, you get used to it, and it will definitely help if you have any type of skin or stomach problems.
I'm going to recommend you take 1 teaspoon of this very certain spice to help you greatly with diabetes. Now, when I say the word fix diabetes, what I'm really going to talk about is how to fix the complications of diabetes. I've done a ton of videos on this related to diet and intermittent fasting, but today I'm going to talk about just some incredible benefits from this one spice, cinnamon. And the type of cinnamon I'm going to recommend is called Ceylon cinnamon. So the natural chemical in cinnamon that is doing the heavy lifting is called cinnamaldehyde. And so it has some fascinating research, which I will put down below, that I just kind of got sucked into for hours and I'm blown away. You know, cinnamon is the most consumed spice in the world. And actually, it's the oldest spice that was consumed from quite a few different cultures. So what does it do? Well, it's an anti-inflammatory, it's antimicrobial. It can kill microbes as well as candida overgrowth in other parts of their body. It also has anti-cancer properties. But the big benefit that I want to talk about is the anti-diabetic effects. It has potent anti-diabetic effects. Okay. So the first thing it can do is increase insulin sensitivity. And the second thing, it can increase glucose sensitivity. So just these two alone will explain all these other factors, because when we're talking about the complications of diabetes, there's really 4 main areas of the body. We have the kidneys, we have the eyes, we also have the heart, primarily the blood vessel, and then we have the nervous system. Your nerves on the bottom of your feet and your fingers start to lose circulation and they start dying. Number 3, decrease the risk of getting non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. If you're going to lower glucose and lower insulin, you're going to suppress the fat on your liver. So you're going to have less fat in your liver. That's a cool benefit. Number 4, it actually has protective benefits in the kidney. So if your blood sugar is high and you're taking cinnamon, it can protect the kidney from all the problems that occur. I mean, think about the number 1 cause of kidney failure. That's diabetes. So if you could take something to reduce the side effects, to counter all these free radical damage. Because think about what diabetes is. You have this higher sugar going through the body. Think about sugar as being like rust. It's oxidizing, it's rusting out the different parts of your body. Now, what is a kidney? Kidney is a filter of your blood. So it gets hammered. So this is why a diabetic usually ends up with kidney problems. But if you can take something to minimize the symptoms, I mean, that's going to be amazing to increase the longevity of your kidney. Number 5, I found studies to show that it can restore peripheral neuropathy. That is that nerve problem that I mentioned before, the bottom of your feet. You get burning, tingling, and painful feet. And there is a good remedy that I like to use called benfotiamine and alpha lipoic acid, but cinnamon is another one you could use. So again, what diabetes is doing to the nerve, it's killing the circulation, the blood vessels, the capillaries to the nervous system. So the nerves need a blood supply. So that's what diabetes is doing. It's killing off the blood supply and the oxygen to the nerve. And so the nerves die and you start getting, all sorts of symptoms. So cinnamon can actually help prevent that. I mean, think about what happens when you have higher sugar going through your vascular system. You're creating all sorts of inflammatory processes. You're allowing cholesterol to go into the artery. You're creating damage. And then the Band-Aid comes in there with calcium and plaquing. And then you get also clotting. So guess what? Cinnamon can actually prevent or protect endothelial cells. Number 7, it can decrease the risk of cataracts, okay? diabetes is the number one cause of blindness. But with diabetes, you also get cataracts, glaucoma, and there's a whole list of eye problems that can occur. All right, number 8, because you're lowering glucose and lowering insulin, you're going to have less lipid accumulation. And number 9, less inflammation in your brain. Why? Because cinnamon is a anti-inflammatory. Now, how do you take the cinnamon? Well, you can put it in your tea. You could take cinnamon tea. You can put it in your coffee. You can take it as a pill form. Okay, that's a lot of people just take it as a supplement. You can also put it in different foods. Like there's a recipe, a cinnamon roll fat bomb. Okay, and I will put a link down below, which uses kind of cream cheese and whole whipping cream and butter with cinnamon. It's a great little dessert. Of course, we also have cinnamon buns, right? You can use that or cinnamon toast. And I'm being very sarcastic because we're not recommending that. But anyway, I wanted to increase the awareness on just an amazing spice to use for not just diabetes, but if you also have insulin resistance, okay, which a lot of people have. The next best video for you to...
All right. I mean, I just started using cinnamon. I put it in my coffee each morning. All right. And the last 2 things, talk about cayenne pepper. This is a brief short on cayenne pepper.
In your pantry right now, you probably have so many different remedies for so many different problems. Today, I'm going to talk about the cayenne pepper, okay? Cayenne pepper spice. If you start putting this on your food, you can potentially notice an enhancement in your immune system, especially when you get colds or the flu. It's an anti-inflammatory. It'll stop a toothache if you apply it directly on the tooth, and it's really good for your digestion. So if you have any of these problems, you might want to start adding more cayenne pepper to your recipes.
Cayenne pepper is definitely great for colds. I realized when I was like congested, I started using it when I was congested, and it definitely helped with congestion. One thing about cayenne pepper, I warn you, never take it on an empty stomach. If you take it on an empty stomach, it'll probably feel one of the worst stomach pains you've ever felt, because I did that by accident one time, and it absolutely was one of the worst pains I've ever felt. So if you do have cayenne pepper, make sure you have it with something, you can't just take it on an empty stomach, or else you'll start feeling the pain of it. And the last but not least, garlic.
So you definitely need to start adding garlic to your meals. This is why. There's all sorts of fascinating phytonutrients in garlic. There's sulfur compounds. Garlic increases endurance. So if you're an athlete and you want to go longer, garlic can help you do that. Garlic has antimicrobial properties. It has antiviral, antibacterial. It's considered like an antibiotic without the side effects. Antifungal, like an athlete's foot. It's very antiparasitic as well. So it will make sure that the unfriendly pathogens are not taking over your body. It has very beneficial respiratory benefits. It can decrease a cough. It can help someone breathe. If someone has a lung infection, it can decrease the duration of that infection. It also is great for getting rid of inflammation, especially if you have arthritis, both osteo and rheumatoid. It's very anti-cancer from the compound called allicin. There's a gentleman that I interviewed that had stage 4 cancer. This was probably 2.5 years ago. He was told that he was going to die within a month, okay? Well, guess what? He's going strong. There's no signs of cancer in his body. One very interesting thing about his protocol, which I'll put his link down below, he consumed a massive amount of garlic, okay, in all of his foods, and he took supplements. So garlic definitely has a significant impact on preventing cancer, and also if you have cancer, helping you get rid of it. All right, number 6, cardiovascular. It decreases the risk for strokes. It's like a natural blood thinner. It helps decrease blood pressure by increasing something called nitric oxide. There's a lot of data, a lot of studies on that. It can decrease cholesterol. Number 7, it greatly improves the immune system, decreasing infection duration, like I mentioned. Also, it can directly help kill pathogens. Number 8, digestion. It helps the flow of bile. It helps the food move through the body, and it helps bloating and even gas. Number 9, detoxification. It helps to trigger the phase 1, phase 2 detoxification system in your liver to take these fat-soluble poisons into harmless water-soluble particles. So it helps to detoxify chemicals. And it even actually can strengthen the bone density. So there's a lot of properties, but probably the biggest thing that it can do for you is prevent vampires, okay? All right, thanks for watching. Hey, before you go real quick, I have a course entitled...
All right, well, that's my live for today. I hope it was informative and helped give you ideas of what things you could do if you are feeling pain or inflammation, or just basically preventative measures of things you could consume or take to help with keeping yourself healthy naturally. So if there aren't any questions or concerns, I'm going to end this live in a couple of seconds. And I hope everyone has a great weekend and a great Shabbat. Shalom.